Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? Wait till a few people get up in here. Wait till a few cats get up in here, man. Talk about a few little heavyweight topics. Want to talk about Trey Lippe-Morrison, Jermaine Franklin, Ivan Dychko, Darmani Rock, Cassius Chaney. And I'm also hearing about this possibility of Joyce versus Chisora on May 5th. Want to speak about that. Also want to talk about Simon Kean, his victory over Alexis Santos. What's good, Blackout? What's up, Antonio McCray? What's good, y'all? See 7 people watching right now. Let me, thumbs up that, hit that thumbs up button, man. Let me get a Larry Holmes jab to that thumbs up. Talk about a little bit heavyweight news. I'm thinking about going live a little bit later, and I'll talk about the, the marquee names like Joshua and, the Parker fight coming up. Touch on some, some other topics who I think Ortiz, who I like to see him in there with. Talk about the Povetkin versus Price fight. But right now, I just want to give some of the up-and-coming prospects a little bit of shine, man. So wait till a few more people show up and talk about some of these prospects, man. 12 people in the building so far. Let me get 12 thumbs up. Can I get 12 thumbs up? And I'm going to go ahead and start. I cannot wait till March. Well, I can't wait for next weekend, to tell you the truth, man. I really want to see this Dillian Whyte versus Lucas Browne fight, man. That right there is just, it just, to me, it depends what type of fight Dillian Whyte wants to fight. I was going to upload this video I seen on Instagram. I'll probably upload it later, of Lucas Browne. He was moving around the ring, showing pretty decent footwork for a guy his size, man. He's moving around, showing, different facets of his game as far as being able to move, use a jab, and having some pretty good footwork. He was in there listening to some R&B jams, doing that, showing his coordination. Emmanuel Stewart, it made me laugh when I seen that, because Emmanuel Stewart used to do that with Klitschko. When he would have Klitschko in camp, he would play James Brown, Michael Jackson, and would have Klitschko moving around in the ring, getting his rhythm right. Something that I thought was a very underrated tool he used in his training camp that people really never talk about is getting that footwork right, man. Because for a big guy, when you're 6'6", 6'7", big guys. I'm a big guy myself, 6'5", 240. So it's not always easy to go in there, and try to move around like welterweights and lightweights, man. It's pretty damn hard sometimes when you're when you're 250 pounds, 260 pounds, man. What's good, Trap House Boxing? What's good, everybody, man? Moolah Maine, Gorin, Barbaric. I'm going to go ahead and start. Now, the first topic I want to talk about is this Joyce versus Chisora, the possibility of this fight happening. I think it's a fight that Joyce wins. Even though he doesn't have that many fights, he's still experienced in the fight game. Not as a pro, he's only, 3-0? Ian Lewison is his toughest fight thus far. He just beat Donnie Palmer. Very easy fight. I thought it'd been a little bit tougher than that. At least go a full round, or at least try to hit Joyce back. Land something on him. But Joyce took care of business like I thought he would, and he had an early win. Now, I do believe Chisora has a chance to beat Joyce. I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion that Joyce beats him, but Chisora's a guy, man, who just in his last fight with Ajay Cabello, he couldn't even enforce his will on Cabello. And Cabello's a young kid, a German prospect, undefeated. But he only had a handful of fights as an amateur coming up, and he's pretty much learning on the job. And Chisora couldn't go in there and impose his will on that young fella, So now Joyce isn't a young guy. He's only, he's 2 years younger than Chisora. So it's not like he's a kid or he doesn't know his way around the ring. I mean, this guy has sparred Anthony Joshua many times. He sparred a lot of guys. Now, I know Chisora's been in there with Vitaly Klitschko, David Haye, Pulev. But what do all those fights have in common? Tyson Fury, he loses those fights. He finds ways to lose fights. Now, a lot of people think he possibly beat Dillian Whyte, but he still lost the fight. It was a great fight. It was a damn entertaining fight. Fight of the year type of fight. but he finds ways to lose, man. Especially in fights when he's not motivated. He'll win those fights against journeyman, but then he gets out of, he gets out of shape. And then when he does step up in levels, he loses those type of fights. And I think at this point of his career, this is, comparing it to like a journeyman type of fight, this is a step up, in my opinion, as far as fighting guys from that level. Joyce is not, I know people look at this amateur thing and say, oh, that's the amateurs. But in the amateurs, what people forget is these guys aren't fighting with headgear. The last few, they're not fighting with headgear. So he is used to that type of fighting, that style of fighting. Now, I understand the rules are different, but I don't think that him only having 3 fights will hurt him in this type of fight. To me, it's just, can Chisora land on Joyce because he's an upright type of fighter. So when he's throwing the jab in the right hand, can Chisora come over the top with left hooks and overhand rights? And can he finish off the fight, or can he attack Joyce like that? To me, that's his only chance. Because to me, he, like I said, he couldn't impose his will on Caballero, man. I know Caballero's style is different. He likes to move a little bit, throw up the high guard, throw combinations. He was moving on Chisora. Some people thought Chisora won the fight, but I thought Caballero won the fight, So I think Joyce's style is different. I'll give Caballero the edge on his legs. But as far as just strength and being able to control the range, I'll give that to Joyce. And I think Chisora may be walking in the uppercuts, walking in the right hands. Joyce isn't the fastest, but shit, neither is Chisora. So it's not like him being slow will hurt him in this fight, in my opinion. Now, I do think him standing straight up can be dangerous. Like I said, those hooks and overhand rights, overhand lefts, those hooks, I think that can be dangerous for Joyce. But I see him just being physically stronger, tying Chisora up, walking him backwards. I'd see a decision out of it, though. I think Chisora will give him enough to worry about, to where he probably won't get knocked out. I think he will get Joyce respect to the point where Joyce just won't walk in hands down. But I see Joyce roughing him up, man, and using his size, using his jab, and offsetting Chisora. Chisora tries to bob and weave his way in. I think he's going to bob and weave into some right hands. I think he will come close with a lot of those overhand lefts. I think he's going to be reaching a lot. I think he'll be a little bit sloppy in this fight if they are to fight each other. That's my opinion on Chisora versus Joyce. Like I said, but Chisora can get in there, go to the body, step inside is what I call the line in the sand, that jab, the end of the jab. He can step inside, go to the body, and then rip overhands. I think he could have a chance. But I don't know, man. Even a fight with Dillian Whyte, he did it, it was an entertaining fight, but he just not overwhelming people, man. And if you can control the distance on Derek, I think you can beat him. And I think Joyce will do that in this fight. See these comments, so you guys comment right now. Mr. Natty Turner 1, what's good, Joe? What's good? Some other fights now. Okay, I talked about that. Now, Simon Kean, he's a 2012 Olympian. He's out of Canada. He's 13-0 with 12 knockouts. And I actually did a video about this fight he had with Alexis Santos when it was first made. I love the fight when it was put together. You got two guys. Kean's undefeated, Santos 18-2. He lost his last fight against Neal Kennedy. I thought it was a pretty entertaining damn fight. They fought for one of those regional straps up there in the New England area. Santos, he had a loss to going into that fight. He had a loss to what's my man's name? The dude that fought Ortiz, Daniel Martz. And he didn't get beat up. He hurt his knee in the fight. They stopped the fight because of that. He came back and beat up Daniel Martz in a rematch. All right. So he's a shorter, compact type of guy. Like I said in that prediction video, if he can get past Simon Kean's jab and get in there and land some explosive punches, could be an entertaining fight. Now, I got a chance to see the fight, and Kean went in there and put the beat down on him. He knocked him down 3 times. And the last knockdown, he just beat the fight out of Santos. Santos could not get around that the jab right hand. Kean's a big guy, man. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. Has a Olympic experience, good amateur, and it seems as if Santos was getting frustrated. Like, now there was a point during the fight where he's getting hit with jabs and right hands, and he started beating on his chest. Give me more, fight me. To me, that was signs of frustration. He couldn't get past that jab, and when he did get past it, or thought about getting past it, he was getting hit with right hands, and that's what gave him trouble. He could not get out the way of that right hand. I don't care how tough you are, how explosive of a puncher you are, or that you like to be in fights. If you getting hit with flush right hands, you can't get past it. Eventually, it's going to wear you out. You know what I mean? To at least where you're getting you can't get in, so then you give up mentally and you just decide to stay on the outside and go 12, or you're going to keep trying to press your way in and you're getting hit flush with big, hard shots against a guy that's bigger than you. So to me, man, Simon Kean, 13-0, 12 knockouts. I think he's somebody to really look at, because looking at his 2 best wins thus far in his career, he hasn't been a top 10 guy yet, but as far as a guy working his way up, he has 2 victories that stand out, in my opinion. Avery Gibson. I know you hear Avery Gibson. Who the hell is that guy? As far as prospects making their way up, Avery Gibson is a good win to have on your resume. He's kind of like a John Bolden, a Jamal Woods, Camille Solakowski, guys like that. Tough journeymen. The records might not indicate that, but they're tough journeymen that usually give guys the full 6-4 rounds. Avery Gibson is a guy who's a known Deontay Wilder sparring partner. Gibson also fought in that, the World Series of Boxing. He represented the USA in that. So Gibson's a guy that's been around. He's experienced, shorter, heavyweight, but he's durable, and he knows what he's doing in the ring. And for Kean to beat him and to beat Alexis Santos in his 13th fight, as far as working his way up as a prospect, I think those are pretty decent wins. You can argue he had, well, I know Caballero beat Chisora, but before Caballero beat Chisora, you could say Kean's resume was a little bit better than his as far as working his way up. But out there in Canada, man, you got, like I said, you got Simon Kean out there. I know Alexander Teslenko, he moved his career out there. Then you got Oscar Rivas, a guy who, for whatever reason, he cannot get fights here in the U.S. because he has the retina problem. Detached retina, I believe, is his right eye, so he's been having trouble getting fights down here. The fight with Amir Mansour was called off. That has Fight of the Year written all over as far as the styles. He had a fight with Gerald Washington that was taken off the table, all because he couldn't pass the eye exam down here in the States. So up there in Canada, then, man, I think that Rivas and Kean, if Kean can win, a few more fights, probably get his record closer to that 20-0 range. Kean versus Rivas, somewhere down the line, man, probably 2019, somewhere in there. I think that'd be a really good fight up there in Canada. Even Teslenko, give him a few more fights, get his record towards that 20-0 mark. And I think these guys need to be fighting each other. You guys can't be all in Canada, all undefeated, going towards 20-0. You guys, I think Kean is definitely, went out for a minute, but Kean is definitely somebody to keep an eye on. And I thought that win against Santos was very impressive, man. Also want to talk about Trey Lippe-Morrison. Now, he made a comeback a few weeks ago. I didn't cover it, but I'm going to cover it now. He beat Oswaldo Ortega. Yes, I know it's a journeyman, but Morrison has been out for, I know he's out all of 2017. I believe he's out for like 15 months. He had, I believe he hurt his hand. I know he had a nasty gash over his eye in sparring. I did a video on that, showed a picture of the gash. So kind of unfortunate for him. I know him and his people. They've been in contact with Showtime. I believe CBS Sports is another one. So there is some interest in Morrison. And we all know why the interest is there. He has Freddie Roach in his corner. His father was a bad dude in the 90s, man. I know he took his ups and downs, man, but overall his father was a very entertaining fighter. He has heavy hands. That's one thing about Trey that I can say. I'm not sure how far he can go, but I know he has heavy hands. He has the story with his father. And he comes to knock people out. He's 14-0 with 14 KOs. So you know why he's there. He came in this fight 215 pounds after a 15-month layoff. I thought the best shape he was in when he fought Ed Lattimore on Showbox. And both of those guys were, two undefeated heavyweight prospects, both over like that 13, 12-0 range at the time. He went in there and took care of Lattimore on national TV. I believe he fights down there in Miami, Oklahoma. Not Miami, Florida, but I think he fights in Miami, Oklahoma is where that casino is located. And during that fight with Lattimore, man, they all had Trey signs, like signs with his name on it. and he packed out that little casino. So he is building his own little, regional type of following. And the networks want him on there, you know what I mean? Or at least start him off on the showbox and build him up. So, Showtime also got guys like Junior Fa. There's a lot of guys, a lot of heavyweights out there, you know what I mean? So, good to see Morrison back. Hopefully he's back in the ring soon. The 215, I know he came in with the Lattimore fight, he was 221. So I believe 215 is the lowest he's ever been by a few pounds. And usually he's been coming in like 220, 225. So 215 was pretty good. Lets me know that he's been staying in shape. 14-0 with 14 KOs, man. So he's definitely somebody that, you never know. Like I said, I don't know how far he's going to go, but he adds, a little bit of excitement to the guys that are working their way up. All right. Also seen another fight that kind of made me laugh a little bit. Kevin Johnson versus Michael Grant. That's going to take place March 24th in Germany. Now, look, I've said before, man, that I'm a fan of the old guy fights. Oh, you guys always hear me say stuff like that, but not this type of old guy fight, man. I'm talking more like if Holmes would have fought Foreman back in 93, 90, you know what I'm saying? Somewhere around there, but not this type of old guy fight, man, where Johnson and Grant, Grant hasn't won a fight in a while. I don't know when's the last time he won a meaningful fight. I think Kevin Johnson's going to win this fight. Grant, I think the last time he had a formidable fight, man, he put up a formidable fight. Maybe was it the Adamic fight? No, he lost, but it's been a while, man. Michael Grant is just so yesterday news. You know what I mean? Like when I think of Michael Grant, I think of the late 90s, man, and him being down with Evander Holyfield. And I just think of his fight with Galata. That was a really good fight. Grant had to get off he had to get off the mat and come back. That's what got him the fight with Lennox. When Lennox vacated that title that John Ruiz ended up winning. He didn't want to fight Ruiz, and he ended up fighting. And I gave Lennox a lot of respect when he made this move. He said, you know what? Let me fight this Michael Grant guy that everybody think is the next big thing. He's big as me, bigger than me at that time as far as his height. Grant was a big guy. He could equal Lennox in size, if not bigger. And it was a pleasure to see Lennox take on that challenge, man, because around that time, you had like Ike Buche and David Tua, Kirk Johnson was coming up. That whole all those type of heavyweights, man. Asim Rockman and DeVar Williamson, all those type of guys, man. So it was good to see Lennox take on that challenge when that took place, man. But I'm gonna take Kevin Johnson in that fight, man. Another prospect I want to touch on is or talk about is Jermaine Franklin. Out of Saginaw, Michigan. He is 16-0 with 13 KOs. He picked up a victory earlier this month against Ann Fontaine, 8th round TKO. Franklin's a guy, I've done prospect watches on all these guys I'm talking about. So if you want to go to my playlist and know a little bit more about them, go to the playlist and go to heavyweight prospects. There's damn near 90 of them that I've covered. You know what I mean? So Jermaine Franklin is a guy, he won the 2014 National Golden Gloves at super heavyweight. He beat Cam F. Awesome. You guys never heard of him, look him up. That dude's won damn near like 20 national tournaments in the amateurs. He's a well-known amateur here in the States. Franklin beat him when he was 19 years old in the gloves. Franklin is only, I believe he's like 23, 24, something like that. Young kid, he's 6'1", 6'2", somewhere in there, 240 pounds. What I like about Franklin, man, is he has quick hands for a guy that size. And now when you hear 6'1", 240 pounds, you think of as a heavyweight, you think he's going to come forward plotting around and, trying to follow you around while he's taking shots to the face. This kid has quick hands. He doesn't seem to fall apart when he's in close. Now, granted, against the opposition that he's faced, but he's the type of kid, man, where he doesn't fall apart when he's in close. He's very patient. I was watching one of his fights, his corner, he was throwing wide hooks. He was throwing quick hooks, but they were wide. And Whyte in looping right hands, and his team was telling him to shorten up his shots. Literally within 20, 30 seconds, he put the guy down with a short right hand. That was impressive to me, more than the right hand, that the kid listens. He knows what he listened to his corner, and he knew how to adjust. It's one thing to listen to him, say, hey, tighten up that right hand, tighten up that hook. But then to actually follow through and do it within seconds really impressed me. I really like Jermaine Franklin as a prospect, man. Please keep an eye on this kid. Again, I'm not sure how far all these dudes will go, man, but when I see Franklin and see his height and the way he fights, quick snapping punches, pretty good defense and reflexes, I do like Jermaine Franklin as an upcoming prospect. So I can't wait to see him back in the ring. Ivan Dychko, he's going to be fighting March 23rd against Steven Kernan. I looked Kernan up. He fought out of New York. He fought in the amateurs. He's 2-0 with 1 KO. Hasn't beat anybody of note. I expect Dychko, you know, the two-time Olympian, two-time bronze medalist, 2012, 2016. I expect him to take care of business, man. He's a long, rangy type of fighter. Likes to fight the Klitschko-esque type of style. I expect him to take care of business, man. Kernan just looks too limited. And Dychko just looks like he's going to use his range, use the jab, use the right hand. But a lot of these tall fighters, though, I want to see how they react when they get in there with somebody that can rough them up on the inside a little bit. Are they going to just revert to just the clinching and holding and walk you backwards? Or are they going to, you know, fight you on the inside, a la the way Riddick Bowe used to? Even Lennox Lewis doesn't get enough credit for the way he used to fight on the inside. Although sometimes he would hold with the left hand and shoot uppercuts. But shit, it still count as fighting on the inside. You know, it's better than just holding or getting rattled and falling apart. That was one thing I thought Vladimir on his career struggled with. He's a great fighter, but as far as things that I thought he struggled with through his career or he wasn't as good at was fighting on the inside. Now, when you got a jab like that in the right hand and you can move, shit, you ain't got to worry about it half the time. And shit, Emmanuel was telling him to wrap up. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's good to have just that extra flavor when a guy can get you close and he think he got you, but he don't because you know how to fight him on the inside. So I expect Dychko to dominate, man. Darmani Rock, 10-0. He will be fighting Ronnie Hale March 30th. Rock is a kid. He was an Olympic hopeful for 2016. He ended up losing in the Olympic trials to Marlo Moore, who was actually trained by Virgil Hunter out there in the Bay Area. And Rock actually beat Moore in one of the national tournaments before the Olympic trials, and Moore ended up knocking him out in the trials, man. So Darmani Rock, kid from Philly, he ended up turning pro in 2016. He fought 6 times in 2016, 4 times 2017. So I expect him to fight anywhere from 4 to 6 times in 2018, get his record up to that 16-0, 17-0 range, and then, you know, finally see the kid step up, hopefully. He came in at 252.5 pounds his last fight. I like to see Rock fight more at 245, 240, somewhere in there. You know what I mean? But he's only 21 years old, man. So turned pro at 19, signed with Rock Nation. He's been on a few Andre Ward undercards, you know. So kid has quick hands, good size, about 6'5". You know, he comes in at that 253, 250-pound range. I think you lose a little bit of weight, get quicker. But he has a lot of skill and ability, man. You know, he wasn't touted to go to the Olympics for nothing. There was a lot written about him, but then he ended up getting upset in the by Marlo Moore. And Moore's a tough dude, man. You know, Moore's out there. He's in somebody's training camp right now. Damn, I forget who Marlo Moore is training with. I want to say Joseph Parker. I want to say he's training with Parker. I could be wrong, but it's somebody of note, though, who Moore is sparring with. And I'm going to read you guys' comments in a second, man. I see you guys leaving me comments. I'm going to get to the comments in a second. So Darmani Rock is, you know, like I said, I expect him to beat Ronnie Hale. It's scheduled for a 6-rounder. Cassius Chaney came back this month. He picked up a victory. He improved to 12-0 with six knockouts. For those of you that don't know, Chaney was a part of that camp that got Tyson Fury ready for his first fight against Klitschko. And listen to interviews from the Fury camp, and they were talking about the training partners they had. And I heard a lot of praise for Cassius Chaney out there. Nick Asbury was a kid out there who was undefeated, and Nick Asbury ended up getting beat. He lost his first pro fight. Was that last year? 2 years? Was it 2 years ago or last year? No, I think it was last year. He ended up losing his first pro fight to Malcolm Tan. And then that's how Malcolm Tan name came back up. Tan was out for 9 years, literally gone for 9 years, came back and beat Nick Asbury, and then Dillian Whyte and those guys, they decided to fight Malcolm Tan. But yeah, Chaney was a part of that sparring crew out there that was giving Fury some really good work. He's one of the main sparring partners. Chaney in his 11th fight, he fought John Bolden, one of those guys that I've always mentioned as journeymen that are coming up against your prospect that will give him trouble. He may put your prospect on his ass. He may win a few rounds. And that's what John Bolden did to Chaney a fight ago when he dropped Chaney. He dropped him hard, too, and Chaney had to get up and bite down, man, and squeak out a victory over Bolden. But Chaney came back. He knocked out Tim Washington. Nasty knockout in the second round. He improves to 12-0. Want to see more Chaney, man. Just like all these prospects, see him, get a little bit more seasoned, and then finally step up against another prospect or a, somebody that it's like a 50-50 type of fight on paper. So that's where we're at as far as under the radar type of heavyweight stuff, man. So went over the Joyce versus Chisora, Cassius Chaney, Darmani Rock, Ivan Dychko, Jermaine Franklin, Trey Lippe-Morrison made his comeback, and gave my opinion on Kevin Johnson versus Michael Grant. I am going to go to the comments really quick. What's up, everybody, for joining? Read the comments really quick here. Trap House Boxing was good. Antonio McCrae says, I think Lucas Browne beats Dillian Whyte. I think it's a hell of a fight, man. I'm favoring Dillian Whyte. Shit, I can't even say like 55-45, maybe 51-49. I think it's even. Especially if Dillian tries to come in there and just tries to walk down Lucas Browne and knock him out and try to bully him or overpower him. I think he's going to give Lucas Browne a really good shot to land an overhand right on him, man, and get him out of there. So I'll be back in a little bit, man. I'll probably go live again. Just want to give my opinion on, some of those under the radar type of fights, man. But I got to go take care of some business right now. Then I'm going to come back on a little bit later, talk about the, the guys that everybody want to talk about, the Parkers, the Wilders, the top 10, top 15 of the heavyweight division. We're definitely going to get into that, man. But I just wanted to give my quick opinion about, some of the under the radar stuff, man, because some of these, they need some light too in this division, man. But definitely a good time for the heavyweight division. Definitely going to holler at y'all a little bit later, man. I'm gone.